Welcome to Building Solid Foundations. This is Steve Matley, your host. We are on KCAA 1050 AM all over Southern California. And remember, if you miss us live on the radio, catch us on the archive, kcaaradio.com, or better yet, you can catch us on the streaming, Amazon Fire, Roku channel, or the Building Solid Foundations channel on Android. This show and a lot of other really great shows on KCAA are available to you. Go check that out. It's a free channel to download, or we're probably on your favorite podcast platform as well. Today, we're talking with a gentleman who is a longtime friend of mine. We've known each other for over 20 years now. Seems crazy to say that, but it's been a while. Yeah,
it has been a while.
It's been a while. He's a very good friend of mine. He also works in the same industry. Came out of the construction industry like I did. Jeff is plumbing, materials, and services business development expert for several companies, as long as I've known him. He worked for a production plumbing contractor doing business development, and then for a material supplier for CPVC plastic pipe manufacturers. And then he headed up the code review and acceptance for CPVC piping products for the codes and all the approvals. And he's a business development for a fire protection contractor currently. And I know he provides training in importance of fire sprinkler systems in residential buildings, because I had him come speak to one of my classes once at the college.
Yeah, that was actually good.
Yeah, I gave a good presentation there. I met him through an organization called CBMC. We were in a mastermind group that met monthly for over 7 years. And I want to get into that in a little bit. We'll talk about what that looked like. And we'll get into, as we get later in the show, to some of the more personal things in Jeff's life that he's been through. But I want to talk first about this mastermind group. We were in this group. There was 5 of us.
Yep.
Now, mastermind means a lot of things to a lot of people. Some people think you show up for a one-time deal and you sit around a table. And sometimes I've seen masterminds where there's 150 people in a room.
That wasn't us.
Not really a mastermind in my mind. That's more of a seminar or workshop sort of thing. I've seen masterminds where a group gets together and they talk. I used to do a thing called Dinner for 8. And what I did was similar to what we did, only it was a one-time thing. I would go book a private table in a restaurant in a room, and the first 7 people to sign up, because I'm the 8th person, first 7 people to sign up and pay at a prefix menu were in. And we'd sit down and we'd go around the table and try to help solve each other's business problems. Throw a problem on the table, let's power through it. And everybody got a turn as we went around through the courses of dinner. We'd be there about 3.5 hours. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I kind of like that. So,
and I modeled that after kind of what we had gone through, but we did it, the same 5 people for years, every single month.
Yeah.
And I remember learning out of that process that it takes a long time to get past the walls we put up, the protection walls that we put up. We got into a lot of discussions, but I would say for the first year, we didn't get a lot past news, weather, and sports. And
probably
then,
took about that long, yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, we started getting into some deep weeds.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that particular organization and why you threw your hat in your ring for that thing, because that's where I met you, and what the benefits were.
Well, I think I threw my ring in the hat. I actually met a gentleman named Dick Bridgman.
That's right.
Through
mutual friend of ours.
Through various connections. We were loosely affiliated through a church connection, but I met him at a construction industry event.
Okay.
And he was talking to me about CBMC and what they were doing in San Diego, and that they specifically were forming he didn't call them mastermind groups.
They called them forums.
They called them forums. And at the time, I was dealing with some challenging issues in the construction business, in my position as a business development person. And, having other seasoned, like-minded people that were going to be available to talk through things was kind of appealing to me. And that's kind of really why I threw my name in the hat to kind of get involved. I hadn't met you up until that point,
That's right.
I don't think. So
if I did, it was briefly at probably one of those building events, something like that.
Correct,
exactly.
correct. But we sat together for 4 hours or 3 to 4 hours, one night a month for 10 years.
We would go past 5 hours sometimes when we get into the sticky stuff every
Yeah.
once in a while. Yes.
Yeah.
And it was for like 7 years or something like that.
Yeah,
It was
we
a long
had
time.
You had various roles. You were working.
I was working
DCM in the early beginning
as a project manager for agency construction management firm.
Yes, that's right.
That's right.
And then I was working business development, but I also had, we got into personal things as well, because as one of the things that's no matter how skilled or how developed you are and how you can handle your business responsibilities, your personal life rolls over into your capabilities, and we had some things going on in our home life that needed to be addressed. I particularly I had my kids were coming into the teenage years, if I
That's right.
remember right, and there was challenges with my wife working or not working and things.
In-law issues, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yes,
just
just stuff. Yeah.
how do you handle the finances of San Diego at the time as a primarily one income household? I remember that was kind of a discussion for both one of our other members and I.
And
So,
me too. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
So,
Yeah. 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 And that was, it was, the great thing is we kind of all were, I guess, similar. We came out of some form of the contracting business,
yes.
building industry, and yet all in very different niches and different kinds of positions and duties we were doing. We also came from a very similar philosophical faith background,
Yes.
but at the same time, extremely different family backgrounds.
Yes.
And where we came from, geography. You came from the East, from the New England area. I came from the LA area. So we had people from different places, and I thought one of the great things about it was we started off really business oriented. It was, here's my business problem, here's my contract problem, here's my employment problem, here's this. Most of the time after the first year to year and a half, as you said, we were dealing a lot more with personal things that were affecting our business.
Correct.
And sometimes there were issues, there was things that would come up in business. At that time, none of us were owners of the business. We were all working for other people. And we would sometimes have ethical dilemmas.
That was one of the reasons that I really enjoyed it. It was that dealing with a business owner that I can't see, business owners, I can see a lot of the side, a number of the sides where the business owner is coming from. But when you're the person that's executing things out in the field and you just don't have a gut feeling that what you're doing is best for your client, okay, or is truly unethical, things are easy to deal with, okay?
Right.
Stealing,
Yeah.
lying, misrepresentation,
it's the gray areas.
that stuff's pretty clear, okay? Good companies avoid those issues. It's the gray areas.
That's right.
Okay, it's the slightly self-serving interests, okay? It's leaving information out
It's
of
not
things.
fulfilling fully the promises we made to the client. Yes.
Yes, things of that nature. So I know that it really helped me to feel like I could bring an issue that I'm dealing with and put it on the table, get feedback from a couple of other sources, and then half the time I rethought my position, and quite frankly I was getting a little overreacting to things at times, and other times I knew that I had good feedback from people that I trusted and knew that they had no vested interest in this, to bring information back to say, what, I really need to kind of stand firm on this. And actually, sometimes I actually did things the way that I felt they needed to be done and dealt with the consequences internally with the company.
Yeah, and the interesting thing was the ground rules we set up early, and the ground rules were nothing left that table.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
not to your spouse, not to your business partner, to your best friend. What we discussed, and we actually signed papers with each other saying,
paperwork on it,
now
yeah.
obviously you can't enforce that legally, but the idea was you have to have the freedom to be able to fully discuss and be transparent if you want to get into the root of the details and solve the problem. And you cannot do that if you're afraid that what you're talking about will leak out. And the fact is, and before too long, we all knew enough about each other to destroy each other if we ever wanted to.
Oh, if we were in a different type of arena, yes, we definitely could have.
Yeah. But we also approached it with a feeling of mutual benefit and actually brotherly love to a large degree. And I know that's a weird saying to say that with business guys sitting around a table. But all of us, I think, got to a point that, we had each other's backs.
Yes. Yeah, there was definitely love around the table, love in support,
That's right.
Because not everything was really easy. I remember one of the things that I was dealing with at the time is I had an older stepson, okay, that, I needed to put into a drug rehab program for a little while.
Right.
He's doing well today, by the way, okay, so, but that was a really tough thing to maneuver and to go through,
Right.
So,
Right. And not living with you at the time, and that's a very difficult thing to do. So then that's where you have people that actually are they are disinterested in the topic, but extremely interested in you.
Yes.
And they want the best for you, that are helping to invest in you and advise you and help you make a good decision. Ultimately, you can do whatever you want to do, but also there's an accountability. So every month we come back and say, these are the things you said you were going to do last month. How'd you do? And if somebody come up 3 months in a row and said, well, I didn't even start on that, then we go, okay, so you're kidding yourself. So stop telling us you're going to do that, because they'll hold your feet to the fire, right? Accountability.
Absolutely. I mean, accountability is accountability. I mean, that's one of the backbones of what moves people through the difficult ways that they perceive things.
And I found it to be great, because all of us procrastinate. But when I had that meeting coming up on my calendar, if there was something I said I was going to do, I was not showing up to that meeting to tell you guys I didn't even start on it. No, guess what? I'd focus on that and start working on that thing and get it done, and force me to do the uncomfortable thing I didn't want to do, because I didn't want to go back and say that I said I'd do it, but I didn't.
That you might have avoided.
That's
if
right.
You didn't have to go in and
I would have justified it to
and meet
myself.
with the guys, and you would have come up with a good justification, I imagine, too. So
that's right. That's right. So I encourage people, if there's an opportunity like that out there, to really get into that, but you have to very carefully vet and select the people you would do this with, and make sure that there's a very strong mutual trust.
Yes.
In there.
Well, and that mutual trust comes over a period of time as well.
Yes, it does.
I mean, people's walls come down, the onion peels a little bit, and quite frankly, we're made for a relationship. It actually was, I mean, we're sitting here today, 20 to 20 plus years later, because we developed a very close relationship
That's right.
at the time. And regardless of how much we see each other today, we've gone through seasons where we see each other pretty often, seasons where we don't see each other as often as but yet we have that 10 years of sitting
and we
together.
always care about each other, even if we haven't talked to each other for a while. That's a fact.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we're going to take a short commercial break. This is Building Solid Foundations. We're talking to Jeff Landon. He's a business development manager, primarily on the plumbing side of the construction industry. And when we get back, we'll talk about organizational system that he's developed that's worked out really well for him. I'm Steve Matley. We'll be right back after this break.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services, including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing, and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Tired of qualifying your leads and not getting the right clients for you? Join the finest women in real estate and learn how to attract the best clients and increase your referral network. Call now at 951-378-5316. 951-378-5316 and become one of the finest women in real estate.
Real Men of Real Estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA.
Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station, KCAA radio.com.
You're listening to Fabulous Lifestyle Radio. I'm your host, Ricky Perry, and we are affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and Sports, where we broadcast to over 5 million households in the greater Los Angeles area. If you missed our previous shows, you can watch us on our streaming networks on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and the Android app.
Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations. I'm your host, Steve Matley. We are on KCAA 1050 AM. Don't forget to check us on the streaming platforms if you miss anything, or if you want to review any of shows that you have, or you missed something and you want to check it out because it's interesting, or show it to someone else. I love talking to different people that have been in my life that have fascinating stories. Jeff is one of those. I've known him for over a couple decades, and we don't see each other every single day. It's not like that, but I would count Jeff as one of my best friends in my life, one of my good friends. And we built a good, solid relationship with each other over many years in a mastermind group that we talked about in the first segment. Now, Jeff, you have a system, you call it GTD, Getting Things Done, that has helped you out a lot. It's an organizational system. And as we were talking through all of the gajillions of things we could talk about, this one interested me because I thought that maybe there's listeners out there that could benefit from something like that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about it a little bit because I've actually used many different organizational systems in my various roles as I've gone through my career. I mean, heck, in the very early days of being I came in as a salesperson into the industry. And I remember my first manager handed me a steno pad and he said, "Here's your steno pad." He goes, "When people call you, you write down who called you, and you write down what they asked about, and until you're done with it, you cross it out." That was my organizational system, and that worked fine.
A basic open to-do list.
Yeah, it was an open to-do list, and for a 24-year-old just getting rolling in the industry, it was just fine. Move down the road 10 years with lots of different responsibilities, then I was using a very detailed Franklin planner. Okay.
I use daytimers.
Okay.
So very similar thing. Yes.
Okay. So Franklin Planner system still out today. It's a physical system. It allows you to manage your calendar. I don't need to pitch Franklin Planner. A lot of people know Franklin Planner, but we still had pagers on at that point. Okay.
Yeah. We didn't have the Outlook calendars and the Google calendars and those things, right?
And here's what got me interested in GTD was. The amount of information that is coming at someone today, both personally and professionally, is really hard to manage. And most people manage it to a certain point to their capabilities. But what caught me when listening to the creator of GTD, his name is David Allen. You can look him up. Just put GTD into Google and you'll get plenty of information. But keeping your mind clear is something that really caught me at the time. And this, I was first exposed to this through my wife. She had taken a project management class, okay? And in the project management class, they had got into GTD a little bit. And she had this diagram, this informational diagram written on a board in our living room. And she was kind of stuck on actions and projects and breaking things because it was a project management class, okay? And I started looking at it and it made sense and I clarified it for her. I looked at the flow chart and I said, I can kind of see what it's saying. It's saying that, you want to have projects and then you move your projects out. You have action items that you need to clarify for each item. Helped her a little bit and I started looking into it. What David Allen said that caught me was the mind is great is very good and creative, but it's not meant to hold things.
Yeah, it actually, that's why we forget things. We have very bad memory retention.
Exactly. So
that's why we do all kinds of things like flashcards and those kind of things to try and drive things in that we can recall, and it only lasts for a day or so.
So here we are, and I was working in a position with a lot of information coming at me. I was working for my prior company that I spent 15 years at, and the amount of information was actually part of what was stealing the joy out of my life. The amount of things, there was things that were, if you find yourself waking up in the middle of the night and you're thinking about things that you haven't done, I'm going to challenge you today to to pause for a moment and says, you have not developed a system of what's important to you that you trust enough to get the things out of your head. And your creativity is going to suffer over a long period of time.
And you'll deal with a lot of anxiety.
And you'll actually be, yes.
So as much as I've mentioned this before on the show, but as much as the lure of success is a motivator, the fear of failure is much stronger. And forgetting to do things, all those things, I forgot to call this person, I forgot to do that, I forgot, those are the things that'll give us anxiety because it plays straight into our, what if I forgot that? What if I missed something?
What if I missed? Well, and let's just be real, okay, with the amount of information and the amount of things that are coming at you today, I think it's maybe even better to frame it up this way. To frame it up in such a way that you need to be able to know what you're not doing.
That's right.
Okay, if you know what you're not doing, now you're making the best decision as a human being that has certain skills and certain priorities. You have priorities to your values. You have responsibilities and things that you've said you're going to do. If you can be organized enough to know what you're not doing because you're choosing not to do it because, quite frankly, I can't work 24 hours a day. Okay, it's not good for me.
We just don't have the capacity.
We just don't have the capacity to do that. So, can you get yourself to the point where you are choosing what you're not doing? And GTD kind of exposed me to this, and I said, you know what, this is possible. I don't have to sit here with 60 emails that I know that are in my inbox, and the reason that they're sitting in my inbox is because there's something that I need to do that's related to them that I haven't completely clarified, okay? And that I haven't moved into the next action, but yet they're still sitting in my inbox 3 weeks later.
And somebody's waiting.
There's something I need to do.
They think you ghosted them.
Yeah,
when you just need to process it.
I just need to process it, right? And what what GTD basically says is capture things that are important to you, capture all in things that are incoming. At some point that you predetermine, take these items that you've captured, clarify what they mean to you. If there's, in the clarification process, figure out what the next action is and either turn it into a single action item on everybody's got action items lists, everybody's got to-do lists. You turn it into an action item on your action list, or move it over into a project and figure out what the very next thing is that you need to do on this, and make sure you're not trying to do more than 15 to 30 projects at a time. And by the way, one of the nice things that David Allen taught me in this is that it's okay to have projects that you have not engaged in yet. Put them on your someday maybe list.
And so that's where the prioritization comes in.
Yes.
There are those projects that I cannot delay on, and then there's other projects that are, if the time is right and the resources are there, I can do this.
Yes. And come back to this organizational someday maybe, the projects, come back to it. Not necessarily daily, but at least weekly, maybe even a bigger review at the end of the month, and come back and really look at it and says, you know what, this project that I engaged in 60 days ago, I've done a couple things on it. It's no longer important to me. I'm going to actually put that to aside, maybe even delete it. And I'm going to elevate this one because you know what, things have changed in 60 days.
Now, you mentioned the Franklin Planner. Now, so Franklin Covey is now kind of what they call it. Stephen Covey, right?
Yep.
One of his things was the urgent versus important matrix.
I remember it.
And so this system looks like it overlaps that a little bit. As you prioritize, you're looking at what's truly important.
Yes,
what's truly important. What's got deadlines on it.
Yes.
And separating those things out.
Yes.
Not everything with a deadline is important. And a lot of extremely important things don't have deadlines, so we don't do them.
And those are the things that really, over a long period of time, at the age that I'm at in the industry and in my life now, it's like those are the ones that you say, I've been talking about doing this for years.
Or it becomes too late. For example, saving for retirement, putting money away for your kid's college fund, taking care of your health. Those don't have deadlines, so we skip them. We have too many other things going on.
Yes.
And then at some point we're going, I really wish I'd have started doing that.
Mm-hmm. And then the clarity that comes from only having a few things on your mind and knowing what you should be doing.
That's a beautiful thing. The best thing in the world is to have an almost empty to-do list and knowing that nothing is due tonight.
Correct. And then health-wise, it's important as well. You and I, we're not 30-year-olds anymore, and stress. By the way, stress has real effects on your body.
Absolutely.
Okay,
and your ability to produce income.
And your ability,
if you're waking up in the middle of the night anxious because of the things that you're not sure you're going to get to, and I forgot this, and what about this, you're not getting sleep. And if you're not getting sleep, that's going to translate into lack of focus the next day, long-term health issues. There's a lot of problems with that.
There is.
You destroy your relationships because you're irritable.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I was doing that I realized in this process is that I did think that business-wise, I had a pretty good system, okay? And what I was unable to do is I was unable to integrate personal priorities in with business priorities. Okay, so we're working, we're
holistic people.
We're males, yeah. So, my personal priorities, I got 4 kids, I'm married, okay, there's a lot of things that are going on in my world. All these kids were at the time, they were in their late teenage years, early 20 years. There's a lot of important things that need to go on in the family, and those would take priority. But I didn't have that personal side organized as well as I had my business side organized. This system allowed me to integrate both together, and so that is a holistic system, as you said.
Right, and then the human animal needs to take care of the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, and the mental.
Yes.
And then out of that comes the relational and the financial stuff as subsets of that.
Yes.
And that's the hardest thing in the world is to balance all that out because, as you said, there's only 24 hours in a day. And out of that, we got to sleep, we got to eat, we got to take care of, we got to this, and trying to fit all that in. And then the job wants 8 to 10 hours a day. It's tough.
It's tough. And you know what? To the listeners out there, it's not getting any easier because now we're not just getting emails, we're getting texts. You're getting people that are hitting you up on
20 platforms.
You're getting important things that are coming to you on Messenger at times. There's all of these different sources of things coming together, and it really is important for both your personal and your business career that you actually like stop and think about this. This is a thing to put at the top of your list. Right. Think about how you do things.
That's right. So a little bit of extra time and effort planning will hopefully save us a lot of time, effort, and anxiety later. Because we didn't plan.
Absolutely.
By running around doing the putting out fires all the time.
And that goes back to Stephen Covey's box of doing the important, not urgent.
That's right. Okay, so we need to take another break. Thanks, Jeff. And one thing you mentioned, all the bombardment we're getting from platforms. It used to be in our parents' and grandparents' generation, there were phone calls and snail mail, and that was everything. Now, it's not just text. There's 8 different text platforms.
Absolutely.
And all kinds of different email platforms. And we got to check all these things. So we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to continue talking to Jeff. And a lot of what we're going to get into is the personal stuff and what the kind of priority that is right after this break. This is Building Solid Foundations. I'm your host, Steve Matley. We'll be right back.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Tired of qualifying your leads and not getting the right clients for you? Join the finest women in real estate and learn how to attract the best clients and increase your referral network. Call now at 951-378-5316. 951-378-5316. Then become one of the finest women in real estate.
Real men of real estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA.
Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You're listening to Fabulous Lifestyle Radio. I'm your host, Ricky Perry, and we are affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and Sports, where we broadcast over 5 million households in the greater Los Angeles area. If you missed our previous shows, you can watch us on our streaming networks on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and the Android app.
Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations. This is Steve Matley. Today we're talking to Jeff Land, and he is a long-term friend of mine. He's an industry cohort. And as we mentioned in the earlier segments, he and I were in a forum group, which was kind of like a very closed, exclusive mastermind of just 5 people for many years together, and became very close friends through that. And in that process, and we mentioned last time business and personal, having to integrate those. About 16 years ago, you had an incident happen.
Yes, I did.
And it affected every part of your life. And I'm sure it had a lot to do with how you prioritize your personal life and your relationships now. And it is sort of the fulfillment of most people's worst fears, and that is losing somebody that's extremely close to you. You woke up all of a sudden one day and you were no longer had a wife. Unexpected, completely misdiagnosed medical condition gone
Yep.
in a second.
Yeah, actually, it was 16 years ago this morning.
Was it really? Is this the anniversary of that?
The day that we're recording this
Wow.
is
Okay.
the 16 years ago this morning. I woke up and I was a single man after being married for 17 years. So.
And deeper than that, your wife, Lisa, had been a childhood friend.
Yes. Yeah, we'd known each other since we were in elementary school.
Yeah, so this wasn't somebody you met in a bar in your 30s.
Yes.
Yeah, this was someone you grew up with.
Yeah, and it was completely unexpected. There's a little bit of things we found out regarding it. But at the time, I had Lisa was working at a church, and I was working in the construction industry. I had just made a career change to a national company, and one kid in college, one kid in high school, actually one kid in middle school, and one kid in elementary school. So we had four.
You had the full spread.
We had the full spread, and she got sick, and very quickly she slipped away and passed away.
And it was a relatively minor ailment that turned into something fatal.
Yeah. It was for ladies out there, you're probably familiar with kidney infections, and so she had a kidney infection that she missed after bladder infection. Okay, she didn't quite pick up on it, and it got acute, and she thought it was the flu. And when she found out it wasn't the flu, she thought they treated it correctly, but it really just kind of kicked in a little bit, and within 6 hours she passed away.
It turned the blood toxic. Yeah, and
exactly.
So a complete shock.
Yes.
At an age when nobody expects anybody that age to ever pass away, especially when they're perfectly healthy.
Correct. Yeah. And and I learned a lot about grief processing through this. Obviously you don't expect this, and you go into what I called the first 3 or 4 months. I called it the tunnel. Okay. Fortunately, we had a lot of good friends and a ton of support. This is one of the areas that, when something like this happens, and you are not operating in an isolated mode, and you have networks of community through church and through work and through other things, I cannot tell you how much praise I can give these various groups that they helped our family so much during the first 6 months of trying to figure out what our new life was going to be like.
And the idea of, so you are a grieving widower.
Yes.
At the same time, you're dealing with grieving children.
Yes.
And so it's, I would think, very difficult to be able to properly process your own grief when you have to attend to the children.
Yes.
Who just lost their mother.
And I got some good advice. I got some good advice from someone right off the bat was, you need to take care of yourself, because if you're not in a good place, you're not going to be able to help your kids. Right. And that's a big motivator to a dad. Right. I'm going to bring a tear to the eye a little bit here, but that was really, really good advice, because I had some things that I had a health reaction to that. Within 45 days, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease.
Wow.
Okay, so my family has a little bit of a history of thyroid issues. Graves' disease is, for those of you who don't know, is a hyperactive thyroid, and about 45 to 60 days after my wife passed away with Graves' disease kicking in, I had dropped 15 pounds, and I'm not a big person, right. And I had to go in and I had to figure out how to take care of myself, which included not just medication, but it also included rest. It also included eating food.
A dramatic dietary change.
Dietary change. So these things were right there in the forefront, and in order to do that, I could then deal with my grief. Okay, which I got on in a grief counseling group pretty quickly. And it really reframed things for me a little bit about how to take care of myself. Right. So. And
now, I know that you had a church family
yes.
at that time that stepped up in a big way.
Yes.
And helped you guys out.
Yeah, they came in and they actually, I think Extreme Home Makeover was going on at the time.
It was kind of a popular thing, yes.
It was kind of a popular thing. They came in and they did some amazing landscaping. They basically took a house in San Diego County that was in reasonably good shape, okay? and they
But older,
but
mid-century.
older. Yeah, it was a
Mid-century home.
yeah, exactly. It was a late 50s house, like single story on a nice 10,000. This is a real estate show, 10,000 square foot lot, you know. And they did a fantastic job of making it a great place for the family to feel comfortable. They upgraded rooms. They added a bedroom into a great room. There was a number of things that they did that I'm super blessed to have be on the receiving end. But I will tell you, I'm sitting here is like pausing for a moment when you're the breadwinner of the family and you're usually the giver. I never stepping into the you are receiving mode and being good with it is and can be a challenge.
You don't want to ever be seen as a charity case, and you don't want to feel like you owe people
Yeah.
when you're the person who always is the person who steps up and takes care of everybody else. Yes.
Yeah, but you know, I was dealt that card, and I'm very, very, very grateful. But it also is, here I am 16 years later. I sometimes need to remind myself that I accepted it at the time, and it was the right thing to do,
Right.
because people care. And they want to do things.
And important to your children to show them how many people love them.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I mean, we had one sports group that my kids was involved in. They got us a cleaning lady after about a year, and which is great. I actually still use the cleaning lady today at our. I've been using her for 16 years, but after about a year and a half, I was like, when am I going to start paying this cleaning person that's coming to my house every other week? And the response was, let me check. And they says, oh, we got about 3 months more worth of money. So they took an offering, and they had almost 2 years worth of house cleaning is what they chose to bless our family with.
That's cool.
That's really cool. Okay. You know, so.
But I think that's where, you know, you look at the best blessings in our life usually come out of the worst tragedies.
Yes. Yeah.
And so obviously that's a tragedy, but you know, most people don't have to deal with that at that age, but how many people get an opportunity also at that age to realize that there's a lot of people out there they had no idea care that much about them.
That is something that is something that became, you know, very, very, very apparent. And my kids feel that.
Right.
My boys, all my kids are boys. But they had their own grief that they needed to deal with as well.
Oh, I'm sure of it. I can't
so,
think of anything worse at that age than losing your parent.
Yeah, I heard a good story from actually one of my purchasing agent at one of the builders I was dealing with at the time, and she had married someone who had lost his spouse young, and she was help raising their son as her son. And she gave me a story that actually stuck in the back of my mind, and hopefully there's somebody out here listening to this that the story was this. It says, Jeff, with kids, you never know when grief's going to really show up. And she said, let me give you an example. My stepson's mom passed away 9 years ago. When he reached a particular age, I can't remember exactly what age it was, we started seeing certain things. It was a long time ago. And finally, 7, 8 years down the road, when the brain was capable of realizing what actually had happened, and the frontal lobe is developing, you're getting into your teenage years. Finally his grief kicked in many, many years later. And I found that to be true with a couple of my kids. Mm-hmm. They weren't able to cognitively really realize what was going on, but it became very real, and it manifested itself down the road. And at that time, having that perception, I was able to recognize it for what it is. It wasn't just misbehavior. It was actually deeper than that.
Right. And everybody has to grieve their own way, their own timing. There's no one right way to do that.
There is no one right way.
Yeah, and you just don't know sometimes what people need at that point, and they can't articulate it.
Yeah. Well, because you never really know when it's coming, one of the little things that I started doing after networking with some other people that were in the grieving mode was you can feel in your body when you're beginning to feel the emotions come up a little bit. And I would get proactive when I would feel it. Okay, I actually developed a playlist that reminded me of my wife. Okay, and so
kind of like a mixtape.
Yeah, kind of like a mixtape, exactly. And it's songs from our child. It was songs that meant things to us. Yeah. Okay, and songs that meant things to me about her. And I would I would play that. It would allow me to process, and then I could be there for the kids. a little bit. Didn't always work because things still do catch you. Okay.
That's right.
I mean, that's one of the things that happens with grief is you meet somebody and all of a sudden, because you had a relationship with your wife with that couple or something like that,
Right.
all of a sudden they don't know what to do because they don't see you all the time, but it's been 4 years. Well, then again, all of a sudden it's right there in front of you again.
That's right.
Okay. And you got to give them a lot of grace because you know what? People that don't know what to say in the face of loss, sometimes they say things that aren't the best. Okay. Because they just don't know what to
Nobody knows
do.
what to say.
Yeah.
You want to say something nice. You don't want to just be quiet and act like you don't care.
You do
At
care.
the same time, you don't know what the right words are. You can't say you understand if you've never been through it.
Correct. Yeah, you can't exactly. So.
Yeah. So they're trying. They just don't know how to help.
Exactly. So.
Yeah. We're going to take another short break. We're going to wrap our conversation up after this short break. We're talking to Jeff Landon. Jeff Landon is a business development manager in the plumbing side and right now the fire sprinkler side of the construction industry.
Yep.
Which is related to plumbing to some degree.
Piping.
But a very specialty area.
Yeah.
And we're going to finish our conversation right after this on building solid foundations.
Tired of qualifying your leads and not getting the right clients for you? Join the finest women in real estate and learn how to attract the best clients and increase your referral network. Call now at 951-378-5316. 951-378-5316 and become one of the finest women in real estate.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about. So join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Hey guys, it's Damon, Mr. Foxy, Damon Hart, and I'm here with the real men of real estate. And I just want to say, hey, come and watch us this Sunday, 1 p.m. live, every Sunday. Okay, we're going to be on KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. If you got a minute, just tune in. We can't wait to have you here. I'm going to be there. If you can't make it on there, we're going to be at Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, or Android app on Building Solid Foundations channel. So tune in. You know what you got to do in the meantime. Keep it foxy.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations. This is Steve Matley. We're on KCAA Radio 1050 AM. We're also on Roku, Amazon Fire, and the Android on the Building Solid Foundations channel. That's a free download for you. Check us out on your favorite podcast platform as well if you miss us on the radio or if you're outside of the broadcast area. Today we're talking to Jeff Landon. He is a plumbing expert, a business development manager, currently working with Fire Sprinkler Corporation, doing mostly residential buildings right now. Jeff and I have kind of covered a lot of ground here in this conversation. We talked about how we met in a mastermind group, the forums, got to know each other. We talked about an organization system he uses. In the last segment, we kind of got into some of his personal stuff. And Jeff, and I think that goes back to when we talked at the very beginning that people are holistic. There's all these different parts. And you have to treat the personal stuff because that affects the business stuff which the business stuff then affects the personal stuff again. And it's a big vicious cycle.
It's a big circle.
It's a big circle because as humans, we are multifaceted, and it's impossible to pigeonhole and disconnect that as much as we think we can. Especially, I think men more so like to think we can pigeonhole everything.
Yes,
home is home.
We try to pigeonhole.
Yeah, work is work. Church is church. This is that. My club is my club. Whatever we have. That's all. Workout is workout. We kind of think all that's different, and yet all of it is so completely intertwined that we need to pay attention to all of it. And of course, that goes into the conversation we had about the organization system, how to keep all these balls in the air. I always joke with people that I'm not in the circus, so I don't know how to juggle like that. Right. So. Not drop balls. So.
Yes.
Yeah. So from the last segment, we talked about kind of what happened, but you have a little bit different life now. You've remarried.
I remarried in 2013. Yeah. So coming up on 10 years here at the time of this recording.
Great. So, yeah. Great. And you actually met your wife in the grief group. Is that correct?
Yeah, we had a group of young parents that had lost spouses that all met through a grief program that no longer exists, that used to meet down at San Diego Hospice down in North Park, actually down in Hillcrest. Okay. So that San Diego Hospice has been torn down, and I think they just put an apartment complex on the site.
Oh, over on Laurel Street.
Yeah,
that's right around the corner from where I live.
Exactly.
So, I live right up the hill.
Yeah. So. But we all met there, and we were a pretty depressing group for about 2 years. Okay, so because we all met, we all had kids, and it's now been 15 or 16 years for all of us since our spouses passed, and some of us are starting to retire. Most of us have remarried, and but the group was instrumental. The group was instrumental.
And so now you actually doubled the size of your family out of that deal, right?
Yes, I did. Now I got 7 boys instead of 4.
That's right.
Oh boy. So
And one with special needs, right?
Yes, two of them with special needs.
2 special needs. Okay,
2 with special needs. So.
Yeah. So you've got it's kind of chapters. It's like a chapter closed. There was a chapter in between, and now you've got a new chapter of life, but you never fully leave the previous chapter.
Yeah, and and the chapter is behind you. You look back on them, and where I can see them as chapters, as seasons of life.
That's right.
And we're entering into a new season of life here, as well. Our last one is hopefully going to be getting ready to move out. We're trying to find a placement for them, and sometime in the near future, we anticipate there'll be a placement for our youngest, and then it's a new chapter of no kids at home,
Right. That's the empty nester thing. That's right.
Yes, it is.
And that's a challenge for a lot of people too.
Yes.
All of a sudden it's very quiet. Now what do? We have to talk to each other, right?
Well, we've been working on that one, so.
Yeah. That's always a challenge because the kids take so much of your time, and they're such a priority.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it's like crickets.
Mm-hmm.
And a big empty house.
And a big empty house. Well, we downsized.
Oh, good.
So,
good.
We sold and actually it felt great to see another aspiring family move into our house. The good news is they were the highest bidder, during COVID, and and now they have 2 kids, and this whole block that everybody had moved, grown kids on and moved out is like there's now like 15 kids on this cul-de-sac. It's
and
actually
when you
really
raised
cool.
your kids, there had already been another generation that had raised and grown and left.
Yes.
Because that was that 1950s house, so there was already at least 1 or 2 generations that had come up and left.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how to watch the neighborhood cycle, and you realize if the house could have recorded everything, you'd see this just that cycle of the society as it runs through.
Absolutely. In fact, the house we grew up in, my late wife found out that some of the kids that grew up in the prior cycle came back to check the house out. We found out that they had a 1,600 square foot house that was 3-bedroom. They had 9 kids and 2 adults.
Wow.
So I'm just doing the math. It's how did
That's
you
a lot
do
of bunk
that?
beds.
So they actually framed it. They put 4 bunk beds.
Now they had a basement. Right?
What's that? No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
They framed in a bunk room in the garage.
Okay, I remember most of the houses back east have basements. I was thinking, okay, well at least there's another 1,000 square feet or so. But
that is true. So. But here in California, we're slab on grade.
We're slab on grade. That's right. Yeah, no basements. So yeah, it's amazing that people make things work.
Yes, they do.
And it's different. So I have not that large a family. I have 5 siblings. Okay, so, and we had a 3-bedroom house. There was the master bedroom, and then there was the girls' bedroom and the boys' bedroom.
So
there was 4 boys and 2 girls.
Okay, so there you go.
So I had three roommates.
Yes, exactly. So
growing up,
each girl had their own, and the boys were in.
No, the girls shared a room. So the parents had a master bedroom. The girls had a room.
Oh, and
the boys had one room too.
So love your brothers, huh?
Yeah. So yeah, close. We grew up in close proximity to each other. And my older brother's a year above me, and my 2 younger brothers are 7 and 9 years behind me.
Okay, all right.
So it was different.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a different kind of a setup. But you make things work just the way they have to work. Now we did have an acre of land.
Yes.
So we were outside a lot.
Well, yeah, boys will be boys.
That's right. Yeah, we go outside a lot. And I grew up near the beach, so there was a lot of fishing and that kind of stuff too. So surfing. So kind of putting a bow on this because we're down to the last minute here, Jeff. I just kind of summarize. We went all over the lot today, but I kind of think we covered, how we met, the importance of getting with like-minded people to help you through things.
Yes.
And building those communities, those tribe groups that are there, so when the unexpected happens, whatever it's a business issue, a personal tragedy, whatever it is, you've got people that have your back and they're there to catch you.
Clearly one of the themes that ran through the conversation.
And then being able to prioritize, organize things. And again, having a catastrophic life event will help you really clearly see priorities all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah.
Relationships become much more important than they were before, yes.
And one of the things I told my employer at the time is like, if I can't come home every night, I'll give you my notice right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just what it is.
And there's a repriority. It's like, okay, well, can you go to the national sales meeting once a year? Yeah, I can find out how to do that. Otherwise, I'm home every night.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's important to do because you realize that every relationship you have is finite. Now, they may live a long life to 99 years old, but it's still finite.
Yes.
And at some point, so we need to prioritize those things. We don't know what's going to happen. And then there's always what's coming afterwards. No matter what happens, there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's a dawn.
There's a dawn. Yes.
There's a dawn after every dark night. So
I agree. So and thanks for talking about all of this with me.
Well, great. I appreciate you being here. I hope our listeners got something out of it. I've been talking with Jeff Landon. He is a business development manager for a fire sprinkler company, an expert in plumbing and piping, and a very good friend of mine. Jeff, thank you for being on Building Solid Foundations. Don't forget, 10:50 a.m. every single week right here on the radio, or catch us on the streaming services if you miss us, Roku, Amazon, Android on the Building Solid Foundations channel, or your favorite podcast platform. And until next week, go do something different this week.
Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at